Sean Strickland is somebody that, I mean, he's been in the UFC for almost a decade at this point. Like he has carved into this sort of brash, outspoken figure that comes across pretty genuine to people. And in time, like he has been open about the fact, like he had a traumatizing childhood where he was like physically beaten by his father. I mean, it's like just the description of it, like this is a childhood that no individual should have to live through. And I think that has given people some context into how this guy has gotten to this kind of state of mind. But he has said some horrific things in the past, and it's somewhat measured of, like in mixed martial arts, I think there's a grand amount of leeway that is given to fight promotion to say shocking things, because more often than not, this kind of thing works for people and it gets them attention. And I think there's no question that if we're looking at the worlds of pro wrestling and MMA has a far greater rope that they're willing to give of insane things to be said, all in for the sake of fight hype. But I mean, in the past, like there have been things he has said in terms of like homophobic comments, just tons of things. And he's leaned into this, and it's very much part of him. And he is a popular fighter because of this to a lot of people. And you've seen since winning the middleweight title, like they have really tried to humanize this guy as well. So it's not like this is a complicated figure when it comes to that. But today he was in front of the media, and one of the reporters, Alexander Lee, who was with MMA Fighting, brought up some of these past comments for him to essentially explain, to just basically address these comments that he has put out in the past. So I kind of debated if I want to play this or not. There is some horrible language in this, like some very hateful language in this, but I think it's more impactful that you actually hear it from him rather than me trying to recap it. I think it is important to hear it and the context as well. So this is about a 3-minute clip. So we are going to play it, and then I would like Way's reaction as well, as someone that maybe doesn't really follow as much of the day-to-day with someone like a Sean Strickland, and we'll go from there. So here is Sean Strickland at the media day earlier today in Toronto.
We've got a pretty supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you about something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said, if I had a gay son, I would think I'd...
Oh, look, another, I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and someone's...
Let me ask you something. Are you gay?
Have you had the chance to interact with a more diverse...
Let me know, are you gay?
Could I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking, this is a part of, are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
Okay. If you had a son, then he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh man, well, dude, you're a weak fucking man, dude. You're part of the fucking problem. You elected Justin Trudeau. Like, when he sees the bank accounts, like, you're just fucking pathetic. And the fact that you have no fucking backbone, and has he shut down your fucking country and seized bank accounts? You ask me some stupid shit like that, go fuck yourself. Move the fuck on, man.
That doesn't really answer the question, but I did want to ask also things you said about the trans community. You said this past October when they announced the Bud Light sponsorship that you'd go so hard on Bud Light in your next fight, they'll have to accept me or denounce me when they know what, and will know what they stand for.
This guy's like, hey, this Canadian's not that Canadian.
Are you still going to use your fight time to kind of speak on that?
Here's the thing about Bud Light. 10 years ago, to be trans was a mental fucking illness. And now all of a sudden, people like you have fucking weaseled your way into the world. You are an infection. You are the definition of weakness. Everything that is wrong with the world is because of fucking you. And the best thing is the world's not buying it. The world's not buying your fucking bullshit you're fucking peddling. The world is not saying, you know what? You're right. Fucking chicks have dicks. The world's not saying that. The world's saying, no, there are two genders. I don't want my kids being taught about, who they could fuck in school. I don't want my kids being taught about, their sexual preference. Like, dude, this guy is the fucking enemy. You want to look at the fucking enemy to our world? It's that motherfucker right there, asking these stupid fucking questions. Sorry, I told the UFC I was being nicer. Lance, am I still good with this? Did I cross any lines? A little, what the fuck? I didn't say the F word. You just brought this fucking guy in here to piss me off.
You just did, but just to follow up, I mean, Rick.
Did I say it?
You just did.
No, I didn't say it.
Right there you did.
Different F word, different word. Yeah. I'm trying to be good, man. I'm trying to be good. I like the fucking gays. Here's the thing. I've never, you guys think I've ever shit on a gay man or shit on a gay woman? I like the gays. It's fucking freedom. We still have it in America. We'll teach you about it. You guys don't have fucking freedom of speech. I'm surprised what I'm saying is probably gonna get I'm probably gonna get the fucking, Canadian government to arrest me. So I don't give a fuck who you fuck. I don't give a fuck what you want to do in life. But, don't fucking tell kids about it. Don't teach that shit in fucking school. Don't fucking push your agenda. Don't try to fucking brainwash people. Don't try to go past parents. Don't try to go past all this shit and brainwash people, you fucking cuck.
That was Sean Strickland at today's media day. Had you heard this clip already today?
I saw I didn't see all of it, but I saw a portion of it when you tweeted it out. I guess it's somewhat fitting or maybe interesting, at least, that we're talking about this and we're listening to a clip like this on the anniversary of the death of Jay Briscoe, somebody who had made similar comments in the past. And I think from what we've known has, walked back on them and has sort of, used it as a growing experience to change. I hear this from this man who's a very successful MMA fighter, and I can't help but just maybe feel like I'm listening to the ramblings of a very dumb person, somebody who maybe is just miseducated, himself, and probably has suffered. You mentioned he has suffered a lot of hurt, himself. So I approach it maybe from like a bit more of a sympathetic sort of like tone, but it's shocking. And I would say even more shocking than just, hearing somebody at the very top of this promotion. His name is on the background of this event.
This guy is the headline. This guy is by far the biggest star on this card on Saturday. I mean, there's no question about it. And but even beyond just, I think, hearing essentially a spokesperson for this company use this type of speech, it's the comments and the responses, to your tweets, to this tweet, and the amount of defenders that are out there just championing these words, using him as, proud spokesperson. And I used to love MMA. I used to love the UFC. I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. It's a beautiful sport. But I never, ever, ever want to be associated with people that feel this way and people that would look to like somebody like this as, a role model for them. It just completely turns me off of anything MMA. I think that is the part of it, is that you see not even so much a defense of the person of, trying to of someone that is a fan of Sean Strickland that tries to defend this. No, they are defending the philosophy. They are defending these thoughts that it's troubling to me, but not surprising at the same level. I just contrast to the two industries that we cover the most, and it seems like there is a outlet for it in one and almost like a zero tolerance. Like, could you fathom a pro wrestler in a setting like this, in a major company, even coming within a tenth of that kind of language in a public setting, that there wouldn't be such a grand outcry, and that there would be parameters in place that would it just becomes a situation where the UFC has kind of opened itself, where an individual like this is not only free to espouse this, but do it on company turf at a promotional event. This is where the UFC has kind of marked their line in the sand, that we are the freedom of speech company and you can say whatever you want. This being the same company that at a time had a disciplinary committee in place, and when Nate Diaz just used the F word on Twitter was fined, and how far we have come now to this, where I don't think without any pressure there would be even a thought of, even at the very least, of UFC stating we do not condone this, even though they readily, like, promote like Pride and certain initiatives like that. But then when you have someone like this that is essentially speaking on behalf of your company, you are endorsing this by default. And how do you feel if you are
You're platforming him.
You are. And the only way that there's a reaction is if those business partners, whether they be sponsors or broadcasters, are uncomfortable with this. Like, remember, we have just kicked off the Sportsnet deal in Canada as of last weekend. And this is a company in Rogers that a number of years ago fired Don Cherry, who is one of the most iconic broadcasters in this country, after he, granted, had a history of, troubling remarks that sort of just got accepted as part of Don Cherry, but went a step too far. And his rant was complaining about calling you people, as sort of people took as a euphemism for immigrants, not wearing poppies. And that was it. He was fired over that. Does a Rogers, does an ESPN want to be associating with this? And I guess by this point, ESPN has been in the UFC business for many years at this point. But this is like, for Rogers, they are back in the UFC business after years apart. This is a very different UFC, and it comes with this kind of thing that did not exist there, back in 2014 and before.
Right. Yeah. I guess the pessimist in me just doesn't feel like anybody will be complaining, because maybe the money is too good. The UFC is maybe too important to their portfolio, and business dealings are probably so much bigger than what they see this as. Yeah, it is interesting how, like, I think in this forum,
like what would have happened if this had happened at the press conference and they're running it on Sportsnet, or he says this on breakfast television? Like, what is the difference there? Instead of this being a media event that was limited to like live streaming online. I mean, this is, I'm just curious. Like, I know that Outsports wrote an article about this after it happened. Like, this is like it blows my mind that in any other athlete in a sport goes on some rant like this. I mean, this would be like gigantic reaction from the leagues, from players, from fans. And in MMA, it's like this alcove of sports that can exist, and this is considered freedom of speech and don't police language.
So would you say this is something that would have been permissible in other MMA promotions, or is it something specifically that you think the UFC has sort of made a sort of open forum for?
I think I mean, listen, there's certainly, you can,
like, is it an MMA problem or is it a UFC problem, is what
I'd say more UFC, but there is like, certainly I think you look at combat sports as a whole, I think there is a greater level of this kind of thing that is going to exist. Like, look at the lead up to like Mayweather McGregor. I mean, there was some horrible things that were used. I mean, racism has been a backbone of fight promotion going back generations. I mean, there is that ugly side of these sports. But I would say in current modern day, I think the UFC, they have very much wrapped themselves around
this. Isn't building up any fight, though. This is just a guy spewing hate.
I would argue that if you were somebody, I would imagine that there would be some people that maybe would not feel comfortable about buying a pay-per-view that directly goes to this guy who has points in a pay-per-view that you would be essentially.
But as many people as that might be uncomfortable, there might be 10 more people that are going to be celebrating something like this. The fact that somebody is finally,
he will be cheered going into Saturday. He will be the babyface in that arena. I don't have a doubt about that.
You think so? Even in Toronto?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I mean, It to me, I mean, hey, enjoy. I'm not watching this stuff anyway. Like, for people that are watching it and celebrating something like this, good for you. You know, you enjoy these events. I guess I'm just a bit sad that a sport that I used to love so much has been basically sort of I don't know, taken over by people that I would never want to, associate with.
Well, if you want more context, I implore people to go find this clip and then read the comments, because they're, I would say, enlightening, but I mean the exact opposite of that definition.
I mean, this is relevant because, this is a brother promotion to the WWE at the moment. And yeah, in terms of like policy, in terms of, I think, how much one might cross over to the other, I feel like, the press con, like, what would an Ari Emanuel have to say about maybe, when pressed about something like this? And
he's not pressed about stuff like this,
right? I mean, and I mean, in the same breath as, like, him having to talk about the WWE, these are very much the same companies now, and so how philosophically different will they be managed? What sort of I don't know, moral grounds is each company going to be held to differently?
How about this one? If you were a WWE wrestler, and let's just say you put out some ill-advised tweet, okay, and you say something that causes that backlash, how in the world could you come down on someone like that and use the comparable of, are we not all in the same company? And I just saw this on the other side of the fence.
Well, this is a company that I mean has hired Hulk Hogan and is led by Vince McMahon. So there are probably enough like examples within their own the WWE itself that they could cite.
But there was action taken against Hulk Hogan. Like at the very core, it would not be a case of Hulk Hogan uttering this and just he continues on tough enough. That's he's free to say whatever he wants. We don't police language around here.
What if Hulk Hogan was a main event at WrestleMania though? I feel like he would have gotten away with it. Like, okay, maybe not what he said.
I don't know, man.
Not what Hogan said himself. But man, like when you're in a power position in these companies, people get away with a whole lot. And
I'll tell you one thing that is a big difference, though, and I don't mean to categorize everyone because I'm not, but there was enough of this today that was like fresh in my mind, is that when all the Hulk Hogan stuff came, and in the years that have come, certainly there are fans that are still fans of Hulk Hogan. He is a childhood figure to him. They are willing to overlook that tape, that language, or even go so far as to come up with reasons. He was going through a difficult time, but I certainly did not see a whole ton of people that were coming out and defending the language that Hulk Hogan was using, and that what he was espousing was somehow of value to society. Like I was seeing today of, Sean, tell them. There was a lot of that today that I saw out of that. And it was was the language and the philosophy behind it that was being defended even more so than the human that was spewing it.
Yeah. I mean, the comments and sort of like the high fives are almost more shocking to me than the comments themselves. But all right.